You're watching the Sports and Political channel of LB. If you're not subscribing to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share these videos on your social media platforms. Let's get down to business. So, John Collins, who has been with the Atlanta Hawks his entire NBA career, has been traded to the Utah Jazz for Rudy Gay and a future second round pick. So this is a salary dump for the Hawks. Collins had close to $52 million left on his contract, plus a $26.5 million player option in 2025. He was drafted in the first round in 2017, the same draft year as Trae Young. He was drafted 19th overall out of Wake Forest. Now, this is the thing. The Hawks had a really good player in John Collins. And for some reason, no, I take that back. I got to make a correction. Actually, Trae Young was drafted a year later, 5th overall out of Oklahoma. And then Trae Young, who was originally drafted by the Dallas Mavericks, was then traded to the Atlanta Hawks for Luka Doncic. So I just wanted to make that correction, right? Anyway, now, Trae Young and John Collins had a long-standing beef, and more so, John Collins wanted a defined role within the offensive scheme. John Collins is a very capable scorer. He is the best, one of the best players in the league when it comes to the pick and roll. He can shoot, he can defend, he can rebound, he can rim protect. What stunted his development in Atlanta is when they made that trade for DeJounte Murray, in my opinion. So you had a situation with Trae Young being the damn ball hog and a diva, getting coaches fired. Plus, they made a trade for DeJounte Murray, who is another ball dominant guy. And as a result of that, John Collins ends up being a afterthought within the Hawks offensive scheme. Now, I read an interesting piece coming from The Athletic, and I'm going to share this piece with y'all when it comes to the situation involving John Collins in Atlanta. So I'm going to share the screen with y'all, and we're going to get into this article here real quick. Appreciate everybody for being up in here today. T Sweezy, Tyler Brown, Terry Smoot, you know what I'm saying? Salute to all y'all. Hey, T Sweezy, you got to earn your rent. You know, I don't just give out wrenches right here, bro. I know you and I say we're going to do collaborations and all that, but you got to earn your wrench. I don't just give out wrenches like that. So this is the article right here coming from The Athletic. So the Jazz have had Collins on their radar for a while now and acquiring him for almost nothing of short or long-term value in return as a major win. He doesn't come in as a can't-miss veteran. He has one of the worst seasons of his career, averaging the lowest points per game since his rookie campaign, the lowest rebounding average of his career, and posting the worst shooting season of his career. All right, so for context, right? All right, I laid out the context for a couple of these things. So lowest points per game since his rookie campaign, when you got guys like DeJounte Murray and Trae Young commanding a lion's share of the usage and a lot of the shot attempts. Plus, you got guys like DeAndre Hunter, who's trying to carve his niche out within the offensive scheme. And that leaves John Collins as the odd man out. Then, if you go to the lowest rebounding average of his career, well, when you make the trade for Clint Capella, and Clint Capella, all he does is hover around the rim, then you got their backup center. I can't remember the name of the backup center. I think it's Onike Okongwu. I think that's his name. Anyway, he is a guy that goes out and grabs rebounds too. So when you have that dynamic going on, and that will leave John Collins, trying to get what he can as far as the rebounding go. So basically what I'm trying to say is, yes, he's been on the court, but a lot of times when you are involved in the offensive, when you're not involved in the offensive scheme, your production is going to go down. In the first 5 seasons, he made 55.9% of his shots, 37% of his three-pointers. That fell to 50% and 29% respectively last season. His defense has been suspect for many years and probably peaked 2 years ago. Well, I kind of disagree with that, but okay, whatever. That said, Collins is a great rim runner, has been one of the better pick-and-roll big men in the league last few seasons. He can still jump and put up a poster on YouTube highlights or Instagram reel or TikTok. I don't know why they put that in the article, but whatever, right? That's unnecessary. A lot of these guys in the league now can jump out the gym and post highlight reeling photos on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media outlet that tickles their fancy. The Jazz have to hope that Collins' down season wasn't a sign of things to come. He really struggled as the Hawks went away from him as one of their primary options behind Trae Young. He took the back seat in a lot of ways, and his overall play and minutes suffered. Yeah, because when they fired Nick McMillan and they brought in what's his face? Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder was essentially out in the street. And then Quinn Snyder started making his own adjustments to the lineup and whatever. You see John Collins' minutes starting to decline. John Collins' minutes started to decline when they fired Nick McMillan and they brought in Quinn Snyder. And then not only they brought in Quinn Snyder has like a 5-year contract. Now, mind you, Quinn Snyder was out of basketball when they fired Nick McMillan because Trae Young couldn't have his way. The Jazz saw Lauri Markkanen have his best season and become an all-star most improved player by changing the scenery to Utah. Well, what's to not say that John Collins can't have similar success in Utah? Will Hardy has proven to be a very capable coach. The Utah Jazz really struggled when Lauri Markkanen went down with injuries. I think that was one of the they started off really hot last year, the Utah Jazz did, and they cooled off significantly. And then the injury bug really decimated that team. So when you bring in a guy like John Collins, who was basically left dead to rights in Atlanta, and basically I see the Atlanta Hawks rebuilding. I don't see how the Atlanta Hawks look like a first-round team at best, as the roster currently constructed. If you ask me, in my humble opinion, they're a play-in team get to the first round, get bounced as constructed right now. And I have no faith in Quinn Snyder because Quinn Snyder, throughout his playoff career, has only gotten his teams to the second round, and that's that. Anyway, so John Collins is going to a good situation, but he's gonna face similar issues in Utah. They got a guy who can rebound and rim protect in Walker Kessler. They got a really good scorer in Lauri Markkanen. So it's going to be incumbent upon Will Hardy to put John Collins in a position where he can flourish in that role, or whatever role that they're going to put him in with the Utah Jazz. They also have a returning Colin Sexton coming in. You know, Colin Sexton takes up a lot of usage. Now, the Jazz just drafted rookie Taylor Hendricks. So there could be a possibility that you got a log jam in the front court. But like I said, that's going to be incumbent upon Will Hardy to put John Collins in the best position possible so that way he can flourish. But he's still young. He's only 25 years old. He still has upside. John Collins still has upside. He's still young. Now, this piece coming from The Athletic gave the Atlanta Hawks, not the Atlanta Hawks, it gave the Utah Jazz an A for pulling off this trade. They basically didn't have to give up anything. And then for the Hawks, you acquired Rudy Gay. Now, I like Rudy Gay, but Rudy Gay he's old. Rudy Gay is old. So you're either bringing him in for veteran presence in the locker room, or he is going to be a guy that's going to be another trade target come the trading deadline if you don't move him sooner than that. Now, this was a guy who has earned his stripes around the league. Now, before I get on to the Hawks side of things, John Collins and the Hawks have been at odds for a few years now, and there have been several times where the Atlanta Hawks tried to trade John Collins only for whatever potential deal to fall through. But they never really wanted to sign this guy to a long-term deal. But they end up doing so. Summer 2021, that's the year they made the Eastern Conference Finals after losing to the eventual champion Milwaukee Bucks. They signed him to that 5-year, $125 million deal. 2 years to that contract. They move him for a 36-year-old Rudy freaking Gay and a second-round pick. The math ain't adding up on that one. Now, I agree with this when they say this is a terrible job of maximizing value for a player who could still be an asset. This feels like the first move of many for Atlanta because of how little return there is. The Hawks would create a trade exception in the gap in Collins' salary and engage salary number. That can help them make moves at some point. It also helps the ease of the paying of incoming luxury tax penalties, as the Hawks were a little over $1 million under the luxury tax last year. But it still feels like a weak salary dump. How much of this roster gets moved in the coming weeks with Clint Capella? He's been in trade discussions. DeAndre Hunter and many more not named Trae Young could all be moved. Well, considering they just traded for DeJounte Murray last year, I don't see DeJounte Murray going anywhere either. They're going to build around DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. Everybody else is on the block, whether it be a Bogdan Bogdanovic, a DeAndre Hunter, who's the other guy? Who's the other guy on that roster? Hold on. Salute to all y'all in the building. What's up, Ellis? Hey, Ron. A Clint Capella, maybe a Kongu guy, the backup center to Clint Capella. Or maybe Aaron Griffin or AJ Griffin. His daddy is the new head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. But as they get younger, that means you're going to rely on a guy like Jalen Johnson. Now, he did show some promise last year. And whenever he got an expanded role, but all these guys here, like the Sadiq Bey, he got traded from the Pistons to the Hawks. So yeah, outside of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, the rest of this roster is fair game. But the most likely people I see end up getting moved outside of John Collins is Bogdan Bogdanovic, Clint Capella, and maybe Aaron Holiday and DeAndre Hunter. Just keeping it 100 with you. Now, there's rumors that the Atlanta Hawks are looking to acquire Raptors forward Pascal Siakam. Yeah, that's out the window. Completely out the window. That's not going to happen. There are also rumors about them acquiring Karl-Anthony Towns. Yeah, that's not going to happen either. And if on the off chance you try to pull off such move, you can't trade Clint Capella to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Karl-Anthony Towns. You can't do that. So the Hawks don't even know what they're doing, man. That's the thing that infuriates me about some of these front offices, man. What in the hell is Landry Fields doing? It's one thing that we talked about the Wizards and the moves they were making that left us with a lot more questions and answers. But what in the hell is Landry Fields doing? Does he even know what he's doing? Does the people who work above Landry Fields know what they're doing? And this is part of the reason why I believe the Atlanta Hawks are no closer. Matter of fact, they have driven themselves further away from championship conversation. Forget contention. Forget championship contention. They're barely in the playoff conversation. So it is what it is with the Atlanta Hawks, man. I just felt like John Collins got a raw deal, and until they trade away Trae Young, I don't see how this is going to work for the Atlanta Hawks. I just don't see it. Trae Young is the proverbial common denominator in all this. He got Lloyd Pierce fired. He got Nick McMillan fired. He got Travis Schlenk out of there, and Travis Schlenk is with the Washington Wizards as the the scouting director, and now you got John Collins traded away to the Utah Jazz. Trae Young, man, I'm telling y'all, man, that man, Trae Young is going to be the reason why the Hawks don't go nowhere. Until he changes his game, until he changes his attitude, he's the face of the Atlanta Hawks. The focus is on him. It's on him. Now see how they're going to go anywhere, like I say, with Trae Young at the helm. And this is the downside of paying players an exorbitant amount of money that have not delivered no championships, have not delivered anything tangible in the playoffs or whatever. And now you're stuck in a position to where you making trades and you're not even getting equal return on these trades. You're not even getting close to equal return on these trades. So as far as I'm concerned, man, the Hawks made this. They made this bed. Now they got to lay in it. They made this bed. They got to lay in it. Now, if you're not subscribing to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Last but definitely not least, shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Arr!